like pre-Brandon and pre-Rachel.
Yeah.
Before they win their Oscars. I mean, this is fucking kind of cool watching this, man. Who would?
Well, I never thought about it like that. Like, yeah. They both are Oscar winner. Hold on. Oscar winner Brendan Fraser and Oscar winner Rachel Weisz star and Stephen Sommers, The Mummy.
Yeah, there you go. It could be worse. It could be Brendan or Stephen Sommers, Van Helsing. That would be worse.
All right, here we are. Are we ready?
Emote. Ooh, the music gonna be sounding so good right now.
Welcome to another episode of Season 4 of 3.5 Gentlemen, the podcast, where 3 of the 4 hosts provide a refined and intellectual analysis of movies from our private collections, and one of us tries desperately to keep up. We'll let you decide which host is which, but for now, my name is Sean, and with me, as always, are my mummified hosts, Jeremiah.
Emote, yo. Emote.
Eddie.
Death is only the beginning.
And Brandon.
Does anybody else think that Benny kind of looks like Eddie?
No.
Just a little bit. Reminded me a little bit of him.
Easy there.
There it is.
It's not even 5 minutes into the podcast.
I know.
O'Connell. It looks like, look who has all the horses.
He's on the wrong side of the river.
Oh my God, Eddie, you've got him down. Was that you?
All those years? Yeah, it was just like, does this one work? Does this one work? Like you pull out all his crucifixions. Oh, thanks, Brandon. With seasons 4, we're picking movies that we think will be fun to talk about. Some of these will be from our private collections, while others might be new releases and in theaters and in streaming. Additionally, throughout the season, we'll be talking about a TV season or two.
As with every review we give, our goal is to answer one simple question: how many drinks does it take to get through the film we just watched? At the end of the podcast, we'll rate the movie based on a scale of 0 to 5, 0 being a perfect film that you can watch stone cold sober, and 5 being sort of the film that makes you feel like you're being eaten to death by a pack of flesh-hungry scarabs. Not the way to go out, yo.
With that,
scarabs, scabies,
scarabs,
what is it?
Scarabs.
Okay. With that, what movie do we have plaguing us tonight? Sorry, hold on.
Whoa, is there a plague? Is it happening? What's going on?
I've had a plague. With that, what movie do we have plaguing us tonight, gentlemen?
Well, tonight we are returning to what I think is our favorite year in movies, and that's 1999, with Stephen Sommers directed Mummy. It really is, right? The Mummy follows a group of
I believe he wrote it, too, just so you know.
Oh, he did. I mean, that was one of the only good things he did in life. Yeah. No, I looked at his filmography and I was like, man, he just had a shooting star here, and then he just dropped it. Anyway.
Wait. What else? What he's done?
Van Helsing. That's all you need to know.
Mummy 2? Mummy 2.
Okay.
No,
Mummy 3.
Mummy 2 was really good. Mummy 2 was not that. Mummy 3 was not
fucking
him.
horrible.
No, but he created the chance for the Mummy 3 to exist, and right there is enough to like retroactively hate him.
Hey, that's like saying Steven Spielberg created Jaws 4. Well, that's not fair.
Listen, we can't all be George Lucas's Phantom Menace. Oh man. Anyway, The Mummy follows a group of explorers in the early 20th century who uncover a sarcophagus of Imhotep, an evil mummy who is brought back to life and sets out to destroy anyone in his path as he works toward reincarnating his long dead love, Anaxunamun. The movie stars Academy Award winners Brendan Fraser, as well as the beautiful, talented, and also award-winning Rachel Weisz, and Arnold Vosloo, I think, as the titular monster. The Mummy has an IMDb rating of 7.1 out of 10 and has a critic score of 60% and an audience score of 75% on Rotten Tomatoes. So there we go.
As with every review we give, we try to pair our selection with a cocktail that we hope reflects the film. So, Ed, why don't you take us through the cocktail that we've selected this evening?
So first off, Brandon, I feel like you took more time with this cocktail than last episode's cocktail. So I'm a little upset.
I was going to do Glenlivet because they're drinking Glenlivet, and then I thought, no, I think we've already done Glenlivet, and then I just didn't want Sean to be happy.
You did Captain and Coke last time. It was like almost like a cop out. You know, the hook.
I thought that was a really good one. I was proud of myself.
This one looks good.
Thing, Eddie, is I literally picked that drink for you.
This one looks really, but see, this one
because you're my rum and Coke guy.
Thank you. I'm more of a whiskey guy.
Oh,
I'm more of a whiskey guy, bro. I'm bourbon. I grew
He's
up.
changed his tastes.
Yeah.
Well, this one looks really good, guys. So tonight we'll be drinking the Mummy cocktail. To make this, you'll need 1 cup of hibiscus tea, 1 ounce of honey whiskey,
Yummy.
1 ounce of devil's cut whiskey.
Oh.
Pour these together and then stir. Add a cinnamon stick and give the drinks a little kick. And
Which I had to look up what devil's cut
It's like
whiskey
a
is.
toddy.
And I mean,
It's like a
pretty
toddy.
intense.
Devil's cut whiskey and with a little honey whiskey.
Mhm.
The hibiscus tea.
It's like a toddy.
Who would've
It's
thought
like a
that
toddy.
was-
It's like a toddy. I have had many cocktails.
Yes.
Okay. Let's get into the review and let's start by talking a little bit about this kind of, you have an opening scene in Egypt and you have for the first time, I think, a very colorful, beautiful description of mummification, and it gets you right into the movie. Once again, I will say it 1,000 times. I fucking hate when you have a person talking at the beginning of the movie. I really do. I really do.
Mhm.
But here it works. It
Yeah.
does. It works in this movie.
So,
Brandon, go ahead.
It does?
I think so.
Yeah. Listen, all I'm going to say is that this pre-title sequence screamed 1990s, and I loved it so much. It was like nostalgia hit me across the face because we don't get this anymore. I mean, voiceover or not, we don't get the pre-title sequences like we did back in the 1990s. And this one hits a home run. Like, and I mean, I think I actually want to just kind of go around. I know we don't do first impressions anymore, but how long has it been since you've seen The Mummy? Because for me, it's probably been a good strong 15 years. Like, have you seen
20 years.
20 years?
Absolutely 20 years. I have not seen it in a very long time, dude.
Jeremiah's got his arms crossed. He's got Armageddon posture
Yes, he
all over
does.
him.
Oh,
I'm
God.
very nervous. I'm
No,
very
you better not
nervous.
ruin this one on me.
He's got Armageddon.
I
He's
got
got
wavy
Armageddon
arms.
posture.
Look at my
He's
arms.
It's been 20 years.
These
It's been 20
wacky
years.
arms. Look at my wacky arms.
Listen,
Honestly,
yeah, Ed.
I probably watched this movie after, I think what year did The Scorpion King come out? That was part
2001.
3, right?
No, 2001 was The Scorpion King came out in 2001.
So I rewatched The Mummy because I wanted to, keep up with the
Franchise.
the franchise. So I think it was like 2007. Or I think that was like around the last time, 2007, 2008.
Okay.
And after that, it kind of just became one of those collections.
Yeah.
The last Mummy that I saw, period, end of story. Me and Brandon,
Yep.
who used to go see movies all the time, we got our popcorn, we got our Swedish fish, we walked into the theater,
Junior Mix.
and we went to go sit down to
Yeah.
watch The Mummy 3, and I swear to God,
Eddie, were you there?
it was 10 minutes in, maybe 15 minutes in,
I
Could've
think you
been
were
there.
there too.
and we fucking went, this is the worst movie I've ever seen. I can't remember if we left, but we may have, which I've only left a couple of movies.
No.
And
Sean, so
did we suffer through
no,
it?
remember? Okay, so there was audio problem on top of everything. And Eddie, I think Eddie was there with
Oh,
us.
that's right.
And so you and I went out.
Yeah, it was 2000.
You and I went out and
was that
our-
the one that I went out?
Yeah,
and the,
no, we walked
and the
out,
guy
right?
stopped his foot?
Listen, we walked out and we're sitting there and on the walk out to the manager area. We're like, do we ask for our money back? Is it that bad? Do we do that to the poor movie theater? And we said, no, let's just go see how much of a train wreck this can be. Like let's see how many flames we can count. And so we go there and wait in line. And there was this person who stomped their foot and screamed at the top of their lungs something about, what was it? Because they wanted to see.
No, he said, I told you we should have seen High School Musical 3.
And it screamed it in the middle of the movie theater lobby. And it was the funniest, greatest thing I've ever heard.
Fantastic. It was
Oh my God, I loved it.
fantastic.
This was at the Regal. Was this at the Regal?
Yeah.
Over there where we always watch Star Wars.
No.
No, I think it was at
This
it was
the
the
other
other
one.
one. It was at the
No,
AMC.
This was
This was in,
why always blame AMC?
Well,
It's not. You always
listen.
blame AMC for all the
Worst
bad
theater
movies.
ever. Worst theater
Yes, I had my
experience
experience
ever.
with
It's always
Sean
hot.
at
So
an AMC
hot.
theater. He walked out. He made a fuss, and he made a fuss.
but you know what? AMC has
movie was that?
The
That was
Coke.
Deadpool, dude.
Oh my God. But AMC has the Coke Jack slushy. I don't think Edwards does.
Slurpee. Oh,
Yeah,
slushy.
there it is.
All right, let's get back
Yeah,
to the
no, no,
movie.
Jeremiah had a
Thank
question.
you. Jeremiah has
Let me ask you a question, man. Brendan Fraser is such a good action fucking movie star. Like in this movie, why wasn't he offered other action movies? Because he fucking owned this movie,
After
man.
George of the Jungle. I mean, I know it's not really an action movie, but he was like hot commodity property. And then I think he just kind of stepped away. I don't know if it was necessarily he didn't get things offered. I think he just kind of stepped away. I know he was dealing with some personal things. But I just feel like, yeah.
I think typecasted.
Well, you know, in 1999, he had not one but 3 movies released in 1999. Do you know the other 2 movies?
no.
I'm about to find
I'm
out right
guessing.
now. Pleasantville?
No, he was
Blast from the Past.
Blast from the Past.
Blast from the Past.
And Dudley Do Right.
Yeah.
It was a Brendan Fraser year.
Dudley Do Right.
So to me, I'll tell you what happened, okay? So he did the Mummy franchise. Then he did Journey to the Center of the Earth, which was a pretty big movie.
Bedazzle.
Bedazzle. And then he was replaced in Journey to the Center of the Earth 2 by The Rock. I think what happened, honestly, he did Inkheart, which was a good movie. He did G.I. Joe, Rise of the Cobra. And then I think what happened was, honestly, he lost his fitness.
But I also remember hearing that he got hurt. Was it on the set of The Mummy, or he was on the set of something, maybe G.I. Joe, and he got hurt. Like, he hurt his back, and so he ended up being like laid up for a little bit.
He lost his Brendan Fraser.
He did.
Like, you're kind of saying like,
and there's some actors who don't necessarily, like, they fade, right? It's just, I think that people develop at different rates, and it really does. It really does hurt them if they don't age properly. Bradley Cooper is someone who's aging like perfectly for his career. And that's why he's getting these roles. Harrison Ford aged perfectly. Brendan Fraser, I just don't think did that. Now he's going to come back and do some other things.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you guys really like the CGI in this movie?
Yes, I'm going to say yes. And
it holds up.
Okay, so I know that we talked about this. What was it, last cast or whatever? But I think that the CGI does hold up. I know you guys said not, but I'm thinking like this dust storm twister. With the mouth coming out. It's 90s, absolutely. It's not perfect, but I think that for a 1999 movie, it does hold its own.
Things I never saw before, like the whole mouth in the sandstorm, and this thing, the Imhotep guy, like he was, resurrected and became like bones, and then his face started forming. Yeah. Every time I saw him, I was like, he's creeping me the fuck out. Like, he's always getting like scared.
And this is a hard question for me, because one of the things that I was really upset with when they made this movie in 1999 is, if you go back to the original horror Mummy, it was all it was this meticulous makeup, and it was by the way, virtually the same plot. If you go back and watch the original Mummy, it basically 4 or 5 people who open the tomb, and he gets regenerated on them. That's the whole purpose of the movie.
You can tell that they had a new tool of CGI, and they were definitely relying more on it, just to have it more big and spectacular. For me, some of the CGI was cool. Some of the CGI kind of felt flat, but it is, what do you want to expect? It's like a 25-year-old fucking film, you get what you can get.
At the end, when Brendan Fraser is fighting the
that was
purely digital mummies and the mummy, if you look at it, there's like 3 sections, right? There's the weather effects, the sand, the mouth, that you got the Scarabeetles, which I thought still play today. They were great. And then you've got the fully CGI character of Imhotep before he got any fixing. Yeah. And then you've got all the creatures that come in at the end. I think the creatures at the end are the worst part of the CGI, and they still play. They still are okay.
Yeah. So I'm sitting here while I'm watching the movie, and I'm pissed that Marvel hadn't started its world domination before this, because that would have led to the Dark Universe happening in 1999. And all I can think about is how I wish that had happened at this time, instead of them trying to resurrect it years later with Tom Cruise. I know, Sean, you and I went and saw that the newest Mummy, which just did not hold water. But I wish that this
it wasn't terrible.
No, it wasn't terrible.
Good.
But what it did is it shut down any chance of the Dark Universe happening. And I wish that we had it with this, because I think that it could have played. Jer?
What's so funny about that is that actually for this movie here, they offered the lead to Tom Cruise, the 1999 Mummy. And it's just so funny. He declined it. He decided he accepts the reboot version. To me, that's kind of a little fun fact right there, dude.
And the problem with this movie is, in regards to Dark Universe, Brandon, is it's not serious.
Right.
This movie is tongue in cheek. It's a little Indiana Jones. It's a little. It's like a little Star Wars, National Treasure. It's got a lot of motifs going on. It doesn't take itself seriously.
Wouldn't that be better?
One of my favorite scenes.
Wouldn't that be better if they did that with the universe?
It depends. It depends on the character. I want a universe where you can do both, and that's where I think Marvel has in the past does it well. They have not been doing well this last phase, but they have some movies that are super serious and some that are not. And this, to me, The Mummy is where you can be a little bit more funny. I mean, when he screams at the mummy and shoots him with the shotgun, that was fucking hilarious. Like, oh shit! Like,
or he has the chat. Like, guess what? Here's the chat.
But that's the thing about Brendan Fraser right there, man. And like, he knows he's playing this role, but he's not taking it serious, you know? And that's kind of really a cool action actor. Yeah, he's having fun with the role and everything. And I'm going to say about this movie, man, you guys think I don't like this movie. I think this movie changed the way for the 21st century for action films, because I think The Mummy.
Explain.
Well, I just think The Mummy kind of set the tempo of when a new release comes out before summer blockbusters, right? They were kind of the very first movies to actually release it at the beginning of May and kind of set like this whole like, hey, let's start the new summer blockbusters at this time. This movie came out a couple weeks before The Phantom Menace, and it really kind of changed the way how Hollywood will release movies and just use this action-packed type of like summer blockbuster. If you don't have this movie, you don't have like National Treasures, or even like, Troy, or even like games like Uncharted. This movie really paved the way for a lot of these action films.
And on that note, Jer, I think that's really interesting. But on that note, it's like our generation's Indiana Jones, where it's not reinventing the wheel, but what it's doing is it's refining the wheel, I think, for the action adventure movies. I wouldn't say purely action movies. Right. I'd say that the action adventure movies that don't take themselves seriously, that are fun, that are, you can call them the summer blockbuster, but more than anything, the summer fun movies, right? The ones that you go out and you just have nothing to do and you want to get away from the heat. So you go and you laugh for an hour and a half. And I think that this movie, I think that it is, not revolutionary, but it definitely continued.
It brought back the Saturday afternoon special, the serial, where you could have a tongue-in-cheek funny movie. Like if you go back to the 1950s, 1960s, you had Journey to the Center of the Earth. You had these movies with like Pat Boone wore patent leather white shoes to the center of the fucking earth. Like these are the funny characters that went down, and you had them, and you had they live. You had these fun, funny movies where big giant fucking ants and big bees were on screen, and it was kind of like is escapism. And this gave you a new version of escapism that was a little more realistic, but what I think, Jeremiah, is you've hit the nail on the head, is that it took the grittiness of the 80s that wasn't fun. Those movies were not fun in the 80s. They were gritty and full of nudity and violence and anger. And then all of a sudden it flipped it on its head in the 90s and really culminated at the end of the 90s, where you could have a movie like this. It could be appeal to the mass audiences. You could bring your kids and you could enjoy the shit out of this movie. I remember being terrified of it. I remember being scared of this movie.
You know what's so funny, Sean, about that is that this movie was actually almost made from Clive Baker and also George Romero. So it was all like violence, bloody, nudity, sexual. It was just like not what you saw on the screen. And thank goodness that Sommers got this, and he's like, no, let's take it back to the 1930s. Let's take it back to like the movie that I grew up with, like, making this as a reboot as the original one, because this movie is kind of like a remake when you think about it.
What about some of the was there any issues that you guys don't like the character development go fast enough, or maybe like it just lacked like some areas of like Brendan Fraser, I don't know, when he's walking through the desert and he just 3 years later he's in prison or with Rachel's character of let's like, okay, she's, I don't know, librarian, but then she also doesn't believe in superstition. It's some of the things that it pissed me off a little bit when she opened up the book and pretty much was the cause of destruction of the whole.
It's curiosity, man. Like, don't push the button, right? No, you're going to push the button. Don't read the Book of the Dead. You're going to read the Book of the Dead.
Yeah.
I mean, you just saw people, their face got burned off after opening up the tomb, and open it and read this damn book right now?
Well, that's because of like the salt, right? Was that because of the salt?
The pressurized salt. It was pressurized salt.
Yeah.
Booby trap.
It was booby trap.
Old booby trap.
So here, I'm going to be hypocritical and I'm going to be petty. And it bothered me so much. And I don't remember as a kid hating this. But when we're talking about the CGI, I think the CGI stands. I think it does great. But there's one thing that they do over and over, and it pisses me off. And that's when the mummy opens his mouth super wide and we're supposed to be like, oh my God, this is terrifying. He does that. I'm guessing 8 times throughout the movie.
3 or 4 times.
Oh, yeah. It bothers me so much. And it hit me. And honestly, if I'm going to be nitpicky, like that pissed me off. But no, the character development I thought was good. Whatever happened to Rick in the intervening 3 years, he was bumbling around and being, the handsome, beautiful man that he is.
Lost in Egypt.
But I do think that one of the things I want to talk about that I had forgotten, over the years, 15, 20 years since I've seen this movie, is how great the side characters are. And I'm thinking mainly of Jonathan. I'm thinking Benny. I think that the ensemble that they put together.
Even Odette Fair.
Yes, him.
Yeah.
So
I enjoyed him.
So I challenge you, Ed. I say that perhaps there are moments of sluggishness or moments where you're trying to figure out what's going on, but the movie moves so quickly and the plot is so lean and thin. It's like, oh, we found a key. Oh, we found a book. Oh, we resurrected the mummy. Oh, we destroyed the mummy.
Very true.
Like, it happens so quickly that you can't dwell on very much. Because if you really look at it, you go from the library to the boat to Hamunaptra, back to Egypt, back to Hamunaptra. That's it. Like that's the entire movie.
In the movie, you start. In the movie, I think you start at the fucking the battle, right?
In Hamunaptra.
So it's like it starts right off there.
Back and forth, yeah. It's like. But no, I will. I will say this. So, as far as side characters are concerned, Odette Fair turned out to be one of my favorite actors emerged from this movie, and he was in some great TV shows even recently. He has been in Star Trek Discovery. He's been in some. So it was really nice to see him back on screen. He's really, really, really quite good. He's in the Blacklist for a while. He's a really good actor.
Mm-hmm. You know what's really cool about this movie, and it was just really nice to see Rachel Weisz and her character Evelyn. And I love the fact that she wasn't like this damsel in distress type of a character. Like, she was smart, right? She was tough. She was brave. She handled her shit on her own, and dude, it was kind of cool seeing that. And maybe that was just such a big impact of watching a character back in 1989. You're like, fuck, dude, this character is badass,
Well, especially in this type of movie,
She drew by she drew definitely in the film. In the very beginning, as a librarian to after she lost her clothes and lost all her outfit, and all of a sudden she became, I don't know, something about her became more strong towards the end of the movie. In the middle,
when she walks out after she's lost her trunk of clothes, and she's got that little face covering thing, and she's in the black. And I mean, Rick falls in love with her, but so does every single guy. And I'm sure some gals
she's on the boat.
Jesus.
When she's on the boat and she's like, oh, the Bembridge Scholars, and she puts down her book and she goes, he wasn't that good looking.
She's adorable.
Her character is she's so British. She's so sweet. And I'm sorry, John Hannah, the brother, is just fantastic. He is the perfect little sidekick. Yeah. I loved Winston, who did the plane. Everything about this movie just kind of fit. It fit into fucking... Yeah. I don't know. It fit.
Who was the guy that was, the guy that was warning everyone, like, hey, you need to be careful, who ended up saving him at the end? Who was that guy?
The Egyptologist or Odette Fair?
Oh, okay, Odette Fair. So
okay. I don't know what his name is.
The guy that had the tattoo on his face?
Yes. Ardith Bay. Sorry.
So I read something that this character was supposed to be all tattoo on his face and just all tatted up and everything, but he was such a good looking man. We're like, no, we can't cover your face. No. They just cover it, just put a little on the cheek, but no, we can't cover your face. You're too good looking.
I'm telling you, the second one, he's just as good. It's just.
I love when they crash land the plane, right? And then all of a sudden he rips off the gun from the back of the plane. He's just like carrying that shit around.
Yeah.
Like, baby, he becomes the Terminator.
He's like John Rambo.
Yeah. He's kind of the quintessential everyman 1930s hero. I mean, that's what he is. He puts it over his shoulder, like, let's go. Like, I mean, they have their camels, everyone else has horses.
Yeah.
He just, I love the subtlety of his character, Rick's character, because he knows that they're going into something stupid, but he's doing it anyway, just because, just for the money.
How did Imhotep become immortal?
Well, let's talk about that. Yeah. Because what pisses me off,
I thought he was cursed, wasn't he? Was the curse of the death or something like that, or some shit like that?
Basically, they buried him alive with scarabs, and that
cut off his tongue.
And by doing so,
and he's straight.
Yeah, by doing so, they end up putting a curse on him that if he's ever resurrected, he'll end the world. And I'm sitting there going, like, I feel like the priests got it worse when they were mummified alive. Like, why would you knowingly do this? Put this curse on him.
He was also mummified alive.
Yeah, well, technically, yes, but at the same time, he had the Hamundai.
The Hamundai.
Why would you do this with the knowledge that he'll end the world if he's ever resurrected? And
because there's got to be a movie, Brandon. I know. There's got to be a movie.
You gave him like the ultimate power. He's gonna come back and pretty much just fuck shit up, and he's immortal.
It's just like
too,
one of those
by the
things.
way.
You're just like, that's 3,000 years later from now on. Who gives a fuck? I'm
We'll
not
be
going to
dead
be
by
around.
then, yeah.
So they can fucking deal with it.
Yeah, and it's like this one group has been like watching over his tomb for 3,000 years, and I'm like, you didn't.
They fucked up.
How should you just move
this
it? Version
just
of
move
that
it.
feel.
Just move him somewhere. Like, just put him.
It's booby trap. You don't want to tell. You don't want to go near that. So I have a question to ask you guys. So say, because Brendan Fraser is, coming back, he's in the limelight, he's a superstar. You might actually do another Mummy, hopefully, if it comes in the works or something.
Oh my god!
What direction would you want for the story to be setting for the
Sean's
Mummy 4?
I've got an idea, but Sean, I want to hear yours.
Because if you guys didn't know, before Sean goes, they actually had a green light version of Mummy 4, and it was supposed to be the rise of the Aztecs, and like Antonio Banderas was supposed to be like the villain and some shit like that. That would have been pretty cool.
You gotta go OG Mummy. You gotta go OG Mummy in Egypt. You gotta go either Cleopatra or like OG in the pyramid something, and it's got to be his granddaughter. And his son is older now. We already had the son in Mummy 2, so it's got to be his granddaughter, and she's got to be just fucking like him, just fucking like him with guns and out there. And she's got to be little, and she's got to be this like little whippersnapper. And his son and his wife have to control him, and they got to go after the brother who's made this huge mistake and stolen something where he is in peril of dying from the Mummy.
So Jeremy, what I'm hearing is that Sean was a consultant for the Mummy 4, because that I would see that movie 100%.
I don't understand at this point why I haven't been hired by some studio. I come up with plot. Nobody in Hollywood can come up with any plots. Give me a movie, I'll come up with a plot. Let's go.
Well, they'll redo plots instead of coming up with a whole new one. So.
Too original.
What about you, Eddie?
Ooh, Sean's just nailed it. Like, how can I follow up to Sean's? Like, I would like to see outside of Egypt, though, if there was a way to do it outside of Egypt. So the idea of somewhere else, but then you lose the whole Mummy style.
Atlantis.
So Mummy is supposed to be Egypt.
Atlantis
would be amazing.
Sean, stop now.
Yeah,
you were ahead.
Yes. El Dorado, which is
oh my god, I'd see that.
Oh, that would be cool. Okay, Sean, Brandon, what's yours?
Oh, well, now mine is going to be petty compared to Sean's. So all I'm saying is he needs to become the mentor figure. What they tried to do with Shia LaBeouf and Indiana Jones, that's what they need to do with this next one, is that he ends up not being the central character or the hero character, but instead, kind of helping somebody through. And then Sean, you just kind of rounded it out beautifully with it being his daughter. Like, that would be... And then you can bring back, like you said, you can bring back John's character. You can bring back Evie's character. You can have all this.
Everyone. You
can. Oh my god,
Sean, I love your idea. I would like it also kind of go back to the 1930s and make it black and white, and kind of have a really kind of like a monster type of, like just kind of like that type of vibe.
The werewolf one.
I think that would just be really fucking cool, man. Just have a good, cool.
I started to write those. I really want your guys' input. I started to write my Dark Universe.
We were doing this together,
Brandon,
Sean.
get ready to write the
Jesus
fucking
Christ.
scripts because I started to write the plot. Yeah. So
Let's
I said,
do it.
get ready to write the fucking scripts, asshole.
I will call you tomorrow. We'll talk.
Sean, can you also have another Halloween party, please, and do like a script?
Yeah,
like Egyptian.
I'm going to do Halloween. It actually is Egyptian this year. I have it half written.
Thank you.
So I'm ready to go.
At the end of the movie, did you feel like it was kind of more of like a monster mash type of movie? Because I actually thought the end of the movie, where the final confrontation and them trying to save Evelyn, Rachel Weisz's character, I thought that part was just like nonstop action, fucking what's going on here? Oh, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. I thought that was pretty fucking cool. I actually like the last part of the movie more than kind of the middle part of the movie. That's just my point. I actually thought
I'm going to disagree with you on this one respectfully and respectively, is that to me, and Sean, you kind of touched on this earlier, that the CGI on that one kind of failed. And to me, we got a movie where we got the mummy going on, like he's coming back to life, he's hunting people down, there's all sorts of 7 plagues going on. Like, I know we're not talking about realism, which I know I'll just shoot myself in the foot with that one. But to me, it was too much thrown at us at the same time at the end. And to me, it kind of made me step outside of why I really like this. The fact that we've got, this fight scene going over here, and Moon and Evie are fighting over there. It just, to me, it was too busy. And
pretty sweet.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't like it. Eddie, Sean, what do you guys think?
I liked it. I liked the concept that everyone was contributing to help overcome the mummy. When Jonathan is reading the book and he goes, it's like a stork. It's like good. It's
Yes.
And she gets up and she goes, what does she say? What is it? She goes, what is it?
The quote right here.
Whatever it is. Anubis or whatever it is. And she says it, yeah.
And doesn't he look at it like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So did you guys like, the whole of the what's those little things that he was growing for the mummy? The
apothecary. It's not apothecary jars, but it's
something
like that, where they house like the liver, the heart, the major organs.
Did you like the lead up of the mummy trying to get that, or the
hell yes,
end?
No, the lead up.
I was gonna say, Sean, I feel like you like the middle,
up,
the lead up. And you guys like the lead up.
So I love the story of the mummy regeneration.
Yeah.
That to me was the scary part. Once he was regenerated, I was like, oh, he's Arnold Vosloo. Like, oh, it's cool.
Yeah,
he was less
scary.
Less than,
But it's for this to be the last two. After that the first two, the first guy that died he got the worst of it, right? He has eyeballs.
It's because he had
it,
right? Like, he died halfway, and then he died.
It's so scary too, because it says then Benny, who is the most horrible guy in the world,
me of Eddie.
Just becomes best friends with the mummy. Yeah, and he's just like, here, I sold you to him, and like, I would be so scared shitless if I was the last two guys, like, oh, bro, we're going to fucking die. We opened up this case.
Yeah. The last guy
Get me out of Dodge.
The last guy has his guns, and he's like, to be the last one, like, get me the fuck out. Like, get me the fuck out now. Oh, the boat doesn't leave till tomorrow. Pay a guy. Bribe him.
Yeah. I'm sorry, yeah.
I would have had a cat on a leash.
Benny got it pretty bad. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Benny got it bad.
Cat on a leash. Yeah.
Benny got it bad, but the other guy got it bad when he was opening it up and he found the first scabby, and he's just like, scarab, and he dropped it, and then it went through his whole body. Like, I was afraid of beetles after that night.
I would tell you, the scarab beetle is something that it's like they found it in the first 10 minutes that it worked, and they were like, reuse, reuse as often as you can, reuse that shit, because that works.
Yes.
Because they were scary. They were scary.
Benny and his just comeuppance, as they say. I would have rather seen him be crushed to death. I know that's like extreme, but oh man. Like, I get that it's scary when it goes dark and he just gets attacked, but when that thing's crushing down on him, which is such an Indiana Jones moment to me. And I would just love to see him, just pop.
Oh yeah,
Barry with his money and his gold.
Yeah. I mean, or just like he's in there alone to die over time.
Yeah, I don't like. I agree, Brandon. I don't like how it went dark and then you just got the idea that he got eaten up. But it's like, I wanted more. Like, I was so pissed off at what.
Do you remember how quick that one dies?
That's a very 1940s way to go.
But remember how quick that one guy dies? Like, they're running away from him and they jump off into like the little. I mean, that's a quick death for Benny. And I'm sorry, but we want to see Benny suffer.
I think Benny should have survived. It's the weasels that always survive.
Oh wait, he didn't survive.
No.
Oh,
he dies. He lost.
He
has the
I'm sorry,
torch.
guys.
He has a torch, and the torch.
I thought
out.
he came in. I literally thought I had in my head like he actually is in part 2, and he's like a zombie, like Igor fool or some shit like that.
No, that's Van Helsing.
No, that was in Van Helsing.
Igor and Van Helsing.
So
you act like this is a great movie, Jerry.
I'm gonna say Brian O'Connell, but it's not. Rich. Is it Richard O'Connell?
Rick.
Yeah.
Richard. Yeah.
Like he was trying to help Benny all the way to the very end. Like he was a good guy.
What a good fucking name, by the way, Rick O'Connell. I'm fucking Rick O'Connell.
You know what?
I can take any fucking thing. I am the most fucking badass motherfucker.
Well,
Rick O'Connell. Remember that fucking name.
Fast and Furious did Brian O'Connell. I think Brian O'Connell.
This movie paved the way for Fast and the Furious. I'm just saying.
No, the boat scene. We haven't talked about the boat scene, which I think is a fantastic scene, or sequence. You know,
that was a cool scene.
You know, when we first find out that Benny's the one helping the Americans, and you got Rick throws Benny over the overboat. Overboard. There we go. That's the word. Anyway, I just think that whole sequence is really, really good because what that does is that number one, it throws us right into the action. Right.
And then he also was very thoughtful. And I think after he lost all of Evelyn's tools, he thought about that. And then he got her a little present of the tools from the.
Oh, I love it when he's like, that's my toolkit. Yeah. And then they got the guns up.
That's my tool.
I'm telling you, this movie you got to watch it you got to watch it at least twice because it had subtext. It was good. It had some quality moments. I'm not saying it was like the greatest movie ever made, but gosh darn if it wasn't entertaining from start to finish. I laughed. I enjoyed myself. I clapped. I really was. I was rooting for the hero.
Yeah. Was Richard part of so he's in part 2. He's not in 3. Was he in 3?
Yeah, he is. Rick is. Evie didn't come back for.
That's what.
Rachel Weisz didn't come back for number 3. It was number 3 was not worth even. Like here's how much I love my Blu-rays. Right, the only way to buy this set was to buy all 3. I removed 3, threw it away, and have 1 and 2 on my.
He erases it from time.
I love
it. Never happened.
Yeah. I have never been
cool
so
to
proud
redo
of
that.
it.
Somehow pretend that never happened.
If we can only do it to a lot of different trilogies out there, we'll fucking save us some time.
Like Indiana Jones.
Like Indiana Jones. Temple of Doom and.
Oh, Temple of Doom is fucking great. Come on.
No.
Oh man.
Yeah, let's not do that.
All right. Let's watch it.
And that brings us to the inner review. Now it's time in the podcast where each of the hosts provides a score on the following scale. Emotep, can you provide a scale, please? I just saw your fucking name. Emotep.
Yes. 0, the perfect movie. You don't need shit to enjoy it. 1, a Phil George First Trot Tale. 2, a happy buzz. 3, you're gonna Uber or Lyft home. 4, rough morning walk of shame. 5, blacked out, shit-faced, spring break drunk. Gentlemen, I started with Brandon last time, so I'm going to go with Jeremiah this time.
Not me.
Sure. So, once again, I will give props to the 1999 class of films on how they changed the movies we watch forever. And yes, The Mummy is part of that, guys. I believe this movie paved the way for a lot of action films, not just how they were made, but how they were marketed. And yes, the movie could be campy sometimes, and it could be a little dumb at times, but hands down, this is a fucking popcorn, milk duds, vanilla cherry Coke of a fucking film, man. It's a fun film. It's a great way to fucking escape. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not the best movie out there, guys. I mean, the CGI is pretty bad at some parts, and some of the parts don't really add up. But, man, it's fun to watch Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz filming together. They're so funny, and they're so amazing, and they just fucking own it, guys. To me, this is just a good average fucking movie, but a little better than an average movie, man. This is a 2.15 movie for me, guys. I enjoy the fucking movie. I enjoy the shit out of it,
Look at Jeremy throwing in some weird numbers for us. 2.1. You have been adopted into our way.
What was the score?
2.15.
2.15.
2.15. I like it. That's a good score.
Yeah, Jerry, who are you calling out?
Fun. It's a fun movie, Jerry. Sean.
So happy buzz, overflow.
All right. So, was this my movie?
This was your movie, Sean. Yes.
Yes,
this was my movie. And I will tell you, this movie to me was, there was a critics rating that was apparent in the 1990s into the 2000s. Anytime a critic said this is a kick-ass ride, it was something that I wanted to go see. The Rock. Was one of those. But, I remember Tour de Force. Like and this was that type of movie. It took everything that I love it brought it right into modern times, and I got to see a great movie. It got the 1930s in there. It got a great horror story in there. It got great acting, great characters, great. I said action, not acting. Sorry, action. The score was fantastic. It was big. It was bold. Everything about this movie was funny and subtextual, and it had a great story that was lean, and it got you to the end. I cannot find a lot of flaws in this movie other than it's a schlock film, other than it's a B movie. But it's supposed to be a B movie. That's the way it was built. So it's really hard for me to go, oh, it was the scarab beetles weren't exactly the best things in the world. It's like, I don't care. It were fun. I enjoyed this movie from start to finish. I'm sorry. I'm going to give this movie a 0.75. It is probably way too good a score than this movie deserves. But
okay.
I enjoyed the shit out of this movie. And I'm telling you right now, I can watch this movie now, 10 years from now and 20 years from now, and I'll still want to sit down and enjoy this movie.
Yeah, I'll take it. Ed, you can finish us off.
Brandon.
Sean, yeah, I'm going to give it I'm just going to give you a score right now. It's a 4.3. Yeah. No, here's the deal. Sean, it wasn't until you started talking about the movie and why you love it that I realized just how much of a movie this is a Sean movie. Like, if you're listening to us for the first time, welcome to the podcast. But this is what Sean lives for. It's these escapist moments in movies. And for me, who really likes the serious and likes the things that take themselves maybe too seriously, you need a movie like this that intentionally throws that campiness at us, right? It is schlock, it is campy, but it's done on purpose. It's done to elicit the same kind of feeling of like you're saying, the serials, like, is Bambi going to make it to the other side? Not Bambi, but whoever, right? It's this exciting feeling of a film that doesn't quite it's aged out. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And what it's nice to see is a movie that revisits this and says, maybe it shouldn't have aged out. Maybe we should bring it back. This is a movie that I remember wearing out the VHS copy that I had because in my family's, growing up, this was constantly on. It was a constant go-to movie. It's like, what should we watch today on Thursday night? Oh, let's put in The Mummy because we love it. Let's watch The Mummy. It was just one of those movies that we always had on. So I grew up kind of literally through my, middle years watching this movie. And it's a movie that I'm sad I haven't watched more in the intervening years, right? Coming back to it, revisiting it, I remembered lines. I was saying the lines along with the movie because it was a movie that kind of had an important aspect to me and my enjoyment of escaping through movies. I'm not saying it's a 0.75. I'm not saying it's an amazing film, but what it is it's a damn enjoyable film. And what we've established here, Jeremy, and you did a great job of pointing it out, is that it's an important movie in a lot of ways. It has changed the way, or at least it's revisited like the Indiana Jones adventure stories. I don't think that you get movies like a lot of the Rock movies, right? The Jungle Cruise movies, right? And some of these other action adventure movies. You wouldn't get that without this film. And I think in that sense, we have to tip our cap to it. So I'm going to balance it out, Sean. I'm not saying 0.75, but I am going to say it's a 1 point. To me, it's a 1.25. I think it's a great movie that I can throw in. It has its problems, but part of those problems, it's the age, it's the time, it's the CGI, and it's also intentional, but 1.25 for me. Ed?
All right, guys, let's get down to the brass knuckles here.
Brass knuckles.
So, like, the chemistry between Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. I don't know. That doesn't age at all. Like, that was the best part about this movie. Personally, watching them, it was like, okay, like knowing how their careers ended up and how this is how they started, it made this movie beautiful in its own way. Like it just made me realize like these guys, both these actors and actresses had talent, and this was it became a little gem, after what's all said and done with their career. And I think a lot of movies end up that way. Like you never know what's a gem until 30 years later, and it's like, oh shit, they played together, and let me watch that again. And then you realize like, oh, like I didn't realize this was a funny action-packed movie. In 1999, there was a lot of movies there, and I think this one gets lost in the batch of all the other movies with all the other ones. But this one, CGI, lot of it holds up, and then there's parts of it you're like, oh, I don't know. But I think I don't want to be nitpicky. I think overall, like it did its job. Like it stirs the shit out of my kids if I put the movie on. It got them, they were watching it. I enjoy it. I think it did its part with a good flick that keeps your eyes on the screen, and that's what it comes down to with movies that holds your attention. And this movie overall, like I don't think it's one of my favorites like Sean, but I definitely see it as a great movie in the film industry. So I'm honestly going to give this movie, this is better than an average movie in my eyes. So I'm giving this a 2.35.
It's worse than an average movie.
Average movie is 2.5.
That was 2.5.
It would be 2.5, but
yeah, so
Eddie,
you're
still wrong. That's way too low.
Yeah, better than average movie.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
It's 2.35. So I'm giving this a 2.35. I not wrong. That's how my score, and I'm sticking to it.
No, I wasn't suggesting your score was wrong. I was suggesting it was more. I'm sorry.
I think Eddie's score is wrong. Eddie, it's a better movie than 2.35, but I respect you. That's how he feels.
No, but I really like this movie. I like this movie. It's a 2.35 in my eyes. I think it's a great movie. I'll watch it again. Am I gonna put it on TV like how I used to put it? No, but I'm gonna watch it if it's on the TV. I mean, it's there. It's Brendan Fraser's one of his greatest movies. I think he's done.
Airheads.
All right, when we combine those scores and divide by 4, what does the Mummy get an average rating of?
It gives us a 1.625. A 1.625.
And Jeremiah, where does that put us on our list of movies we've reviewed? Based on the smirk of your face, I think it's probably going to be a little higher or lower than you anticipated.
It's pretty high in my point of view, but hey, it kind of makes me laugh where it's at right now. This is tied for 23rd here. It's tied with another 1999 classic, Galaxy Quest.
Oh,
okay. So what's better than The Mummy?
What's better than The Mummy?
You're welcome, Brandon.
So it's actually Mummy's tied not with Galaxy Quest, but also Signs of the Lambs, Psycho, and Ready Player One, as well as Skyfall. 1.625.
I think that The Mummy's better than some of those movies.
That's a good score for a movie.
I mean, I agree.
What's worse than this? Ask me that.
We've done?
Yeah.
Point Break.
What's worse, Jeremiah? What's worse than this movie?
Great Gatsby.
Another 1999 classic, American Pie, is worse than this.
Where's the Matrix fall in it? Where's the Matrix?
I think it is. I think American Pie is worse than this movie. I don't know about that one. What else is worse?
The Sting, Deadpool, and another 1999 movie.
Yeah.
Matrix.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Sean, can you say it for us, Sean? Can you say it for us?
I think this movie is where it should be. I think this movie is where it should be.
At 0.75.
All right.
That was a wax car right there.
Our review. If you enjoyed our review or are a fan of the podcast, we ask that you please subscribe wherever you're listening. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes. You can find us on Instagram at the.gentlemanpodcast. You can visit our website at thegentlemanpodcast.com. We'd love to hear from you at hosts with an S, HOSTS, at thegentlemanpodcast.com, and tell us why we're so wrong with our ratings. We're happy to pettily argue over email as well. So thank you for listening. And what do we have next week coming up there, Jeremiah?
This is going to be Brandon's pick, actually.
We're going
this is a movie that he's been trying to pull in for a long time. I'm okay with this one here.
Hopefully it's better than Vanilla Sky.
We're going to go medieval on your ass.
Oh, God. Vanilla Sky was so terrible.
I've gotten shit for my last 2 movies from some of you guys. Vanilla Sky and Parasite. So I'm hoping to make up for it on this next one. I did too.
I enjoy Parasite as well.
I know. Well, Sean takes.
My mom asked me. She goes, "What was wrong with you? Why did you hate that movie so much?"
Thank you, Sean's mom.
Well, you have everything wrong with movies, Mom.
My quote, my favorite quote of 2023 so far is, "This is not just a bad movie. This is a dangerous movie." That one I would love to just have tattooed, just because I want to remember it so many times.
The best quote is this. I'm going to use it. This movie should have a disclaimer.
Disclaimer, right?
So every time I see like a gambling movie, I'm like, you know what? This movie should have a disclaimer. It's dangerous. Seabiscuit.
So be careful what you watch.
Should have a disclaimer.
It was the beginning and the end of
the movie. Come on, guys.
We're going medieval. We're going medieval times.
A Kid in King Arthur's Court?
God, that's a horrible one. No, we are going to be telling the tale of a knight known as A Knight's Tale.
A Knight's Tale.
We are going to be celebrating the life of Heath Ledger.
Paul Bettany, right?
Yeah.
Paul Bettany?
Yeah. Mark Addy, the wonderful Alan Tudyk or Tydick. I don't know how you say
matter.
it. But
These are great actors, and this is going to be a fun movie next year.
Looking forward to
that. Don't they start that movie with We Will Rock You?
They do indeed.
It is kind of out. It comes out of left field, but you just go with it.
I believe is what we're going to do. Right, this is what we're going to do to the next podcast. Is we're going to rock it. So tune in then, guys.
Nice.
Out of this world. All right. Yeah, visit us next week for Knight's Tale, and you can catch up on everything that we've reviewed so far this year. We're also going to bring you another TV show coming up fairly shortly, so we're looking forward to that. If you have any recommendations, we ask you please go ahead and email us. We'd love to hear what you have to say, or tag us on Instagram. And with that, thank you so much for listening.
Cheers.
And cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers, guys.
Sean, nobody says please like you.
That was really our best one yet.
Nobody says please like you. I love it every time you say please. It just that little like musical note. I love it. That's so
please
great.
describe.
Please subscribe to it.
Please.